Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is Randy Dick here on the Return on Life podcast, where it is about life. It's about getting the most out of life, the return on life, and not always about the return on investment. We really need to think about what's important, which is living in life. And today I've got a great guest that really, I think, exemplifies this and has really lived a full life. Joe Kavanagh is my guest today. He's from Charleston, North Carolina. And Joe and I met at a conference, not a real estate conference. It was a wellness conference, which is really cool in itself. We're looking for more about life. And Joe's got an incredible career in real estate, 34 years. Is it maybe 35 now, Joe?
It's actually about, I've realized now it's 38.
38. Oh my goodness. So Joe's had just a prolific career in real estate and appraisals and still is working hard at it, still loves it, which I think is really exceptional. Joe loves to be outdoors, playing all kinds of things and hanging out with his kids and his grandkids and all that kind of good stuff. So really happy to have Joe here. But what I'm really excited that Joe's going to share is about the bank profile or personality profile, BANK. We're going, of course, going to get into that. So welcome here, Joe.
Well, thank you, Randy. It's truly an honor to be on your show, and I really appreciate you inviting me. A little clarification, if I may. It's Charleston, South Carolina,
Oh my
not
goodness.
North Carolina. It's okay. People confuse them a lot. And in case people do pick up a different type of accent, I was actually born in Ireland. Yet at the age of 6 months old, my family emigrated to the States, United States, and I grew up outside of Boston, Massachusetts. So most
Oh,
people will say I have that Boston accent.
yeah, I do hear a little bit of it. So thanks for correcting me on the Carolinas.
Oh,
Um,
no worries.
Awesome stuff. Well, hey, if you're already excited about what we're sharing, you need to hit the subscribe button. That's that button below. We're on all the platforms. We'd love for you to be a subscriber and hear from other great guests like Joe. Joe, let's kick it off here a little bit. Why don't you help us understand a little bit about this bank personality profiling, BANK? What does that really mean?
Okay, well, let's get right into that. I found out about this in 2019, just for a little background there. And what does BANK stand for? There are four basic categories to your personality and your value system. And they broke it down to blueprint, the B, A is action, N is nurturing, and K is knowledge, hence the acronym BANK. And it's really a fantastic system that when I first found out about it, truth be told, I was skeptical. Yet I thought, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. Well, what happens so many times when we want to try something new and different on strangers when we go to meet them, we don't do it.
Hmm.
So it took me a little while. I'm like, I'm going to be honest about it. And then finally, my wife one day said, you actually have to go out and use this since we paid for it. It's okay. So I went out and used it. And lo and behold, I got a listing over four other agents. And the reason I got the listing, the people told me, was that I took time to understand who they were instead of just the property. So how did that correlate? Well, the bank system was created and designed by a lady named Sherry Tree. And she was frustrated from taking all these personality assessments, DISC and the color code and everything else, Myers-Briggs and all that. And as she put it, when you take those personality tests, it tells you about you. But Randy, if I'm coming to talk to you and I want to list your home, I want to know who Randy is, not who I am. So she designed this system, which is basically taken all these other personality methodologies and reverse engineered it.
Hmm.
What does that mean? In other words, when I meet somebody, there are different ways to do this. I carry the four cards with me. They each have a set of values on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I simply ask you or whoever I'm speaking to, Randy, would you be so kind as to look at the information on all four cards? And after you do, I'd like you to sort the cards in order of which one best describes you as a person in general. and then second best, third best, progressively down to what least describes you. And this is going to help me to know you better and save us all some time. There's a lot of science behind that particular script, but it is designed to work. And just to give you a quick example, because people want to know, well, what's your results from it? I was already a top 10% agent in our region with we call Realtor of Distinction. They don't have those awards anymore, but they were doing them. And I was closing at 37% rate on my listing appointments. And in our area, and I think it's a national average, it runs about 22% on first appointment. I went from 37% to a whopping 86% in less than a year. So I was closing almost 9 out of 10 appointments I went on. And that's when I said, this definitely works.
That's
and the
incredible.
Beauty, the best part of that is it takes less than 90 seconds to figure out who someone is and what makes them tick. And then what you can do is you modify your conversation to match their personality. There's no manipulation. It's purely natural. And what that does is people like themselves. And when people like you, they want to work with you.
Right. That's really incredible. Reverse engineer. Anybody that builds anything spectacular and special starts with a concept and then reverse engineers it. And this is reverse engineering your communication opportunity, not necessarily your communication skill, but your opportunity, because every time we meet and connect with somebody, it's an opportunity. But if we don't know how to communicate clearly to that individual, they're not going to hear us, see us, or understand us, or they're going to feel that we haven't heard, seen, and understood them, which then there's that disconnect. And that's why your closing percentage increased so significantly, because of the ability to connect at their level, not at your level, their level. Really
Absolutely, Randy. And the thing people say to me is, wait a minute, isn't that manipulation if you're trying to mimic them or talk like them? No, the clearest example I can give you is, and we were over there this winter, we spent time in Germany. And if you go to another country where they don't speak English, you could talk to them all day long, get all excited, and you can show all your facial expressions and everything. And like you're smiling along with me, nodding your head and everything. But at the end of the presentation, I'm like, okay, Randy, what do you say? You want to do it? And you're like, I don't even know what you're selling. Because I didn't speak their language, I'm expecting them to understand my language. So that's the correlation I like to use as an example. So it works very well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So if your bank code is, let's call it ANKB, so Action, Nurture, Knowledge, Blueprint, and you walk into an appointment and you've done the bank profiling on that individual, and they might be a blueprint, knowledge, nurture, action, which is the exact opposite of you, I would think that's where you would make a shift in how you're going to present. You're still going to bring the same information, but you're going to have a different way to present it, correct?
Very well put. It is the same information. You simply present it in a different manner. And quick example of that, as an action personality, which is my strong point, and as it turns out, yours, we'll let the audience know that.
Yeah. What is your exact bank? What's your exact bank?
Okay, mine is action, then nurturing, then knowledge, and honestly, I don't even use this card. This is blueprint. This is the one that says you're going to plan things out. You have a system in place. You're structured. You're risk adverse, that sort of thing. Well, I'm the opposite.
Right.
The action just loves spontaneity, opportunity, fun.
Well, this is why we connected. This is why we connected in Vegas, of all places, too.
Yes.
Because we're both ANKBs.
Now, we didn't know it when we met, truth be told.
That's true.
Yet people, and that's a good thing that you brought up, because you go into a party or a function or this convention we were at, and we just naturally went up and started talking to each other. People are attracted to people like themselves, even through nonverbal cues. I've studied a lot of NLP as well, and you cannot not communicate. So that's part of the reason there. And as another example, ever walk into a room and you automatically see somebody across the room and you're saying, I don't know if I want to talk to them. I don't think we're going to get along. And yet you see someone else, like I might see you and I go, oh, that looks like a guy I want to talk to. And I go over and talk to you. It's that attraction, that energy that is transferred. So it picks up on all that.
Absolutely. You've because you train and you've trained me, and so we're kind of working in the same vein. But you've trained a lot of people and even high performers. And how and what has surprised you about a high performer using the bank profiling system in their business?
Honestly, the biggest surprise is the initial resistance to it.
Hmm.
Let me explain. When agents get successful, and I
Mm-hmm.
was guilty of that, and I'm sure there are other listeners out there, they think, oh, I know it all. I don't need another program. I don't need this. I don't need that training. I'm already at the top of my game. And I actually had one of the agents who was already closing 70% according to their analysis. And I said, what about the other 30%? And they're like, well, 70% is pretty good. I said, yeah, but 80%? How much better would that be? Take your average commission and see what difference I would make in your income in the year. The other benefit of it that I found out, and they talked about this, they advertise it, says you can close more sales in less time. So I actually, because of the stage I'm in my life, let's face it, I don't need to work. I'm pretty well set, and I could be retired if I want, but I love helping people, and I love being in the action. Is and I just lost my train of thought there. But I know what it was. If you did close more sales in less time, what it's done for me, it gives you half your life back, half your time back to spend with my beautiful wife, my family, my grandchildren, travel, do the things I want to do. And that's what's made the big difference. And I put that to the test. In 2022, I sold X number of volume of real estate. And in 2023, I really wanted to transfer over and focus more on my coaching and training programs. And I thought, if I'm going to work half my time in real estate just to see how it compares, I actually sold $1 million more in volume.
Beautiful.
I end up, as I say, I work smarter, not harder.
Yes, yes. Hey, well, that is awesome. And again, if you are interested or you think this is of value, we're going to put in the comments or the taglines at the end the how to do your own bank profiling system. And if you're wondering how to do that, it's crackmycode.com, and you can use my name, Randy Dick, at the end of that. That'll get you that. But I'm going to put it in the notes at the end as well. And if you like this, please hit the subscribe button. We've got to get you on our subscribing list here. This fits right into kind of what I'm really working on as well, which is the human behavior. So, of course, we need personality, but then there's the human behavior side of things that people make or use as they're making big decisions. It doesn't matter who you are. Myself, yourself, Joe, or that person across the table is always tapping into what I call the 7 essential or 7 truths of human behavior. And this just fits so clearly. And those 7, of course, are fear of loss. The past will tell you the future. Most people don't have an open mind. Autonomy, trumps everything. Vision is the lead of all things. And people don't want to compromise. Those are the 7 human behaviors. And when you can use the bank profiling to understand who they are and then weave in the human behaviors, again, wow, what a powerful way to move that conversation and let people know that they really are heard, seen, and understood. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Have you used human behavior? And again, I think a lot of people might think that, boy, we're really being manipulative people, but we're not. We're just helping them, work their way down the journey of whatever they want to do. And if we can help them, we're really Sherpa guides helping them get to that decision easier, quicker, and making a better decision. Have you used human behavior as well?
Gee, I have. And it's interesting. I've never heard it listed that way. Now, I've heard you say that before, but until I heard that, I hadn't heard it listed that way. As I touched upon earlier, I have studied a lot of NLP. I've done a lot of
Mm.
training there, and I'm actually a certified coach. And my wife is a certified master NLP trainer. So there's that. And
And there's a
what
lot
that
going on
talks.
in that house of yours.
Oh yes, oh yeah. Well, we like to stay busy, and we have the time to do it. So, but what NLP does, and that's understanding human behavior and the language they use and all that, and nonverbal, like I talked about earlier, people's reactions to things or, the way they present themselves, whether they're listening, they're all excited, or they kind of sit back and closed off, those sorts of things. And yeah, and what helped me a lot, and again, bank ties into this. Part of what we teach in the training when you come to that is there's a certain part of your bank code, a person's bank code, that is when they're under stress. And
Mm.
when you know that, so it's a key to know their code, and you can pick up on the fact that, especially when you go and list a home, I mean, let's face it, that's one of the biggest decisions of their lives. So yes,
Correct.
they're usually stressed out about things. What you find is once you recognize where they're at, and if they're stressed, you meet them where they're at to start, and then you slowly, as I like to say, talk them off the ledge and bring them back to calm them down and get them into their natural state. People think a lot clearer when they're in their natural state. When they're stressed out, they're afraid they might not be making the best decision. So there's a lot of stress there. I can alleviate a lot of that because I recognize it. And that's where I've gotten a lot of feedback from my clients that says, Joe, you just took the stress right out of that whole situation, that whole move. And we are so grateful for that. I mean, it's investing in yourself and learning these types of tools that makes all the difference.
Hmm. And in the bank profiling, so I'm an ANK,
Correct.
and it's generally the third bank profile that when you're stressed or feeling stressed, is that where you lean into that personality profile. So, and which is true for me when I'm feeling stressed. Man, I got to have some more knowledge on this. I got to
Yes.
find out more about this so I make a better decision because the action, and the nurture isn't cutting it in the stressful situation. I need knowledge. So that's a really key piece. Do you concentrate on the third personality then when you're moving or going through building a relationship as far as business relationship?
No, but I'm what it does is knowing that and where their stress code lies. And
Hmm.
I start to see people like, for example, if I was talking to you and you're like, yeah, but what's the data for my neighborhood and what's the trends been and what can I expect to see going forward in 6 months?
Yeah.
I'm starting to pick up that you're looking for data, you're looking to do more research, and I know that's your stress code. So, Randy, it's okay. We've got you. You're going to make a lot of money on this deal. Let us take care of all the details and we'll get you going. And
Mm.
and again, this is a little bit ahead of us, but because I know your code, that's going to calm you down because your last code is that planning, like me, and you're going to say, "Oh, I don't have to do it. Joe's going to take care of it." Great. Now, wouldn't that make you feel better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Invaluable, priceless. Hard to replace that. Hey, well, let's switch gears a little bit. And before we
Okay.
do that, just encourage everybody to hit the subscribe button, not the unsubscribe, but the subscribe button. We'd like you to do that. Um, as you know, Joe, I'm working on a book called The Underdog DNA. I'm a serial underdog, been all my life. Most people wouldn't recognize that today, but what being an underdog has done for me is built up all of these adversity stacking situations to give me a resilience shield that is unbelievable. And people today wouldn't think that I'm an underdog, but that's the value of understanding that you are and building your resilience shield because you've stacked all these adversities of life in succession. Um, are you an underdog?
Absolutely. 100%. And just like you, today people wouldn't believe it
Hmm.
because I've had good success throughout my career. I'm not going to lie. And I can always remember when I tried something new. I was successful at something, then all of a sudden I'd sell it. sell that business to do something different. And people would say, oh, you're never going to make it. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll go under the radar for now and watch me. as they say down south, said, hold my beer, right? And watch this. But yeah, when I moved, I made a major move in my life. I had 3 young children, 10, 7, and 5.
Hmm.
And I left a comfortable position as a real estate appraiser working for a big company. And I was living in Maine at the time. We moved from there to Charleston, South Carolina. Didn't know a soul, didn't have a job, but I just thought, yeah, let's get out and see if we like it. We sold our house. We had a little cushion for a few months. And I thought, well, if we like it, we'll find a way to stay. I can get a job doing whatever I need to do. And if it doesn't work out, we can always go back. At least we say we tried. Well, I came here, and again, everybody here said, you're not from here. You're not gonna fit in. I said, okay, watch me. And in 3 to 4 years, I built up my appraisal company to the second largest firm in town.
Wow.
Why? Because people said I couldn't do it. For one, that's the action. We're always up for a challenge and an opportunity. And we're the ones that jump off the cliff and then build the airplane on the way down or build a parachute on the way down type of thing. Yeah. And yeah, people doubted me. And it gave me determination and grit, quite honestly. And I did make success of myself. So I was an underdog. Not anymore, but I was.
Well, I'm going to challenge you on that because I think once an underdog, always an underdog. And I think we're all underdogs. Now we build up that stamina, that resilience through all of those underdog experiences and adversity. And so I don't think it ever leaves us. It's just that we now know how to tap into it and use it in a way that it is not, I'm down and out and I got to fight for everything. But I think it is always present. And I would even say it could be your 24th chromosome. But, you touched on a couple of things there, doubt and fear. People doubted you, and I'm sure you had some fear along the way, which, again, I have to say about myself. Fear has been a powerful motivator for me. And some would go, ooh, fear, like, really? But I think fear can be a good agent. Some people call fear their friend. I would say, well, sometimes my friend doesn't always tell me the truth. But my good agent has a fiduciary duty to tell me the truth. And so fear, I think, helps me understand where I'm at and helps me kind of set for whatever's coming. Like, okay, there's going to be a big hit here. I got to get set. And so that's what fear helps me do. Have you experienced anything like that yourself?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. First of all, I want to say I love the title of your book, The Underdog, because what that does, when I hear the word underdog, which I typically wouldn't think about in my day-to-day work, it's like, okay, if you believe you're already the best, sometimes you can get cocky. But if you know that there's always that little bit of underdogness within everybody, then it causes me to be more realistic and continue to work hard.
Yeah.
Because how do I put this? Personally, I would say, yeah, you're there, but you could be better.
Yeah.
And I like to put it that way. But as far as fear goes, I use the acronym because there's 2 ways of going that, negative or positive. And I am a positive guy all the time. Face everything and run, FEAR. Or I like face everything and rise. So you face it and you accept it. And I don't look as, say there's a failure that day or you didn't get that listing or whatever. You don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Reflect on it. What didn't go right? Sometimes you're just not a match for everybody. Let's face it.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up on it. Just accept that. Say, okay, I did say a couple of things or left out a couple of things that I probably should have mentioned. I'll make a note to do that next time and move on and learn from that. So that's how I like to look at it.
Love it. Love it. Well said. Well said. I really appreciate that. Again, if you're interested in hearing more about people like Joe or podcast information like this about the Underdog DNA, please hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you there. Let's tackle a little bit about sales, trust, and tactical influence. And I know we've been talking about that already, through bank and through understanding human behavior. And now we're talking about underdogs and how that makes us rise. One of my favorite quotes that I've coined for my book too: adversity doesn't define who we are, but how we rise. How we
Yes.
rise.
I love that one.
Yeah. Um, what are some of the things that has helped you in sales? And trust is such a large piece. When people know you, like you, and trust you, they choose you. Anything that you want to share there, Joe?
Um, yes, first of all, you are absolutely right. You've got to build that trust because let's face it, we're all like this. If you don't trust somebody, you kind of run away from them. At least I do. I know that. I think most people would be the same.
Hmm.
It's building that trust. It's making that initial connection, which is what bank helps you do. And then you can build that relationship, that rapport, and then you can work on getting people to trust you. But everything is, in my view, based on trust. And um, I just tell people, look, I wear it on my sleeve. What you see is what you get. I like to treat you as I want to be treated. And I am going to tell you the truth, whether it's good news or bad news. Because if I hide it and just give you fluff, it's not going to help either one of us. You're not going to
Hmm.
sell your house. I'm not going to sell your house. And you're going to think bad of me and I get a bad review. So it's building that trust factor. And I would say it's probably number one
Right on.
of the
Well,
attributes.
there's a lot of people on our podcast that are not in real estate. They're in sales. They're entrepreneurs. And rejection is such a big thing when it comes to sales. Go out there and get 99 no's and you'll get one yes, and you think you've got something of value to share and people reject you, ghost you. How do you deal with rejection, and how have you helped other agents, because you've coached many, deal with that terrible thing of rejection?
Yes. Well, the one thing too that we say in our training is sales is not a numbers game. It's a people game.
Hmm.
So once you can connect with the people, that being said, yes, there are sometimes you just can't connect with people. So you have to just accept that and move on from it. But you do sit down and review and debrief and learn from it. What didn't go right? And a lot of times, I'm not going to lie, it's just a matter of no matter what we were doing together, we weren't going to jive. So you can't you can't work with everybody. You
Yes.
can try, but you can't do it. And the other part is take again, when you fall or fail forward and get back up
Mm.
again.
Hmm.
That's the key. And I got a bit of advice when I was new in real estate because an older seasoned gentleman at the time recognized this in me and he pulled me aside, gave me a piece of advice I've never forgotten. He said, "You are so excited and elated today because you just closed on that $1.5 million property, and that's the biggest one you ever had, right? But I saw you the other day when this deal was falling apart, and you were going around screaming and swearing and everything else and cursing people out, right? Blaming everybody." She goes, and he said, "I get it. Real estate's a roller coaster. Don't be on the roller coaster. Be
Mm.
on the ground watching it and just observe it from the sidelines and let it go up and down. And you keep an even keel best you can. You can't do 100%. At least I can't."
Hmm.
And he says you'll have longevity that way and a lot less stress. And when things do go wrong, that's what I say. You know what? It can't all be beautiful uphill, at the top. You
Yes.
have to average out. So
Yes. I so relate to that, and I've been blessed. The team and I, we've sold over 7,000 homes over 3 decades, which is,
that's fantastic.
a phenomenal number. But I'm going to tell you, I was on a lot of appointments I should have never gone on. I was the chump, not the chosen. And you fight through all of those appointments thinking, somehow I'm going to break their code. Somehow I'm going to bring it around that they'll see that I'm their chosen agent. And earlier on, I should have recognized that, Randy, you can't be all things to all people, and you can't serve all people. And some people are just not gonna jive with you, or they're just not going to be worth the energy that you need to put into it. So it took me a number of years to figure that out. But when I did finally figure that out, man, the amount of negative energy that was in my world diminished significantly, and the positivity of energy increased, which just only it made me more attractive to more people. And that's really what really allowed me to scale as well, is just flipping that switch and understanding that. So powerful way that you shared that as well. So I really appreciate that.
And if I may add, you nailed it. You are more attractive to people now because you have positive energy.
Yes.
And I am a firm believer in energy transference. And how many times have you thought about somebody and the next thing you know, they call you? Do you think
So
that's
true.
not energy?
So true. And while we're there, we should make sure that our listeners get this. If you have somebody right now on your mind that they're there, that is the prompt to get on the phone, send them a text, write them a note. That is a prompt from the universe saying you need to connect with them right now. Right now.
Absolutely.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's move on to return on life. Return on life. And when you hear return on life, what does that mean to you, Joe?
Let's see. Initially, I would say return on life. Did I get out of my life what I put into it? Did I get what I was looking for? And for years, I would have said, no, there's still more. Yet now I finally made it to that pinnacle, and I can accept the fact that, yes, I did well. All right. I am doing well. I'm not done. Hopefully not for a while. But return on life, yeah. I've improved myself, my personality, my business techniques, every aspect of life, my ability to relate to people better, to love people, to understand people, be more accepting, all those things. And to me, that's a pretty good return on life.
I love that. And I'm not sure you're aware of this, but I'm a twin. I have an identical twin.
And I think you did tell me that. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. But I often sometimes think, at some point, and whether you have a faith or whatever you believe in, but I believe, one day I'm going to be standing in front of my maker, and he's going to say, this is what I wanted you to be, or did you get to this? Because this is who I created you to be. And so that's always driving me. How do I get more out of this life and create more that I actually, be that person that I was created and meant to be?
Absolutely. And a matter of fact, I want to say be open to that, because I don't mind telling people I am 70 years old. And it wasn't until I was probably 61 or 62 that I realized I wasn't living my purpose. Now, I spent the next 7 years learning different things and taking different approaches and whatnot. And it finally came to me last year, 69 years old. And that conference we were at had a lot to do with it. How I found my purpose going forward for the rest of my life. What I found is I thought I was going out there to give a talk on how to be a better salesperson. What I ended up talking about, and it was downloaded to me, I didn't think I was a big believer in that, but 2 weeks before the convention, I had my talk all lined up, 45-minute talk. And I got this message say, no, throw that one, rip it up. You're not giving that message. You're giving a totally different one. And I'm thinking, God, this is either going to be failure, a big failure, or a big success. Well, it turned out to be a big success, as you know. And Randy was in the room for the audience, just so we have that clarity there.
Yes.
And ever since then, I've been told by men and women, this is the message you need to get out to the world, not your other sales stuff. We can all learn sales tools somewhere.
Mm.
And that message is, and it's focused on men. You want to open up more and be more emotionally available. At least my generation and the people I grew up with, we tend to be stoic, and men in general. This is very general now. Men in general tend to be stoic. They've got to be the strong person. They've got to be the leader, the caretaker, all that, protector. So we don't open up emotionally so much. And if you look at women, they will do that. You'll see them. You'll watch any show and any group. I mean, there'll be somebody in tears and they're all around. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Tell us about it. And they share it and they get through it. Men don't tend to do that so much. And my message is, guys, it's okay. And actually, women have told me they would prefer you better if you opened up and be more emotional. So that's basically where I'm going with my when I go out and talk on stage and in front of groups and all that. And yeah, I have all the information if you want to learn sales as well. But that it's that emotional, that human side of it, that connection. And I quite frankly, I love it.
That's a great message on return on life. That is the message right there. And I want to encourage everybody that's listening, get out of your way, go do something different. And the event that Joe was talking about that I went to was called Gatherama. And here's the crazy thing. Had nothing to do with sales. It was all about wellness. And I walked into that event, which I was speaking at as well, and I looked around and I was like, gosh, there's like 85% women here and 15% men. And I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting. But again, I left that like you. I left that event just feeling so filled with joy and love and a new understanding of what life is, because I put myself in a situation that I normally wouldn't go to. You got to be curious, people. The greatest gift that you've been given is curiosity. Get out there and use your curiosity and find something different to
Love that.
fill your mind.
I love that. And if I may, can I toot my own horn a little bit? As a result of that, going out to that and connecting with that company, that group, I was invited to write a chapter in their book that is being released tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Beautiful.
So
what's the book called?
I am now a published author.
Awesome, Joe. What's the book called?
Ignite Impact.
Ignite Impact.
Fantastic. And each author, I think there's 28 or 30 authors in there. We each write a chapter. And it's about some big event in your life that left a huge impact and a positive impact in your life. And I will let you know, I talked about what I talked about in Vegas.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I'm also part of that program where I've written a chapter in a book called Ignite Your Purpose. And,
and I read that, and that was a great one, by the way.
Thank you. Well, let's finish this off. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button, everybody. But we're going to finish it off with a speed round with Joe here. And Joe, are you ready?
I'm ready as I'm going to be.
Awesome. Okay, fine dining, Uber Eats, takeout, or home cooked meal?
Fine dining.
Fine dining.
Closely followed by a good home cooked meal. We are both good cooks.
Awesome. What is your favorite band or song?
Ooh, I'd have to say currently U2. All time, maybe the Eagles or the Beatles.
Okay. Boy, I saw the U2 at the Sphere. Oh my goodness. Incredible. If you ever get a chance to go to a concert, go to the Sphere for a concert. It is mind-blowing. Phone, text, or in person, what would you prefer?
I prefer in person because you can read people better that way.
Awesome. So that leads me right into the bank. What's the easiest bank code to connect with?
Well, the same one I have, ANKB.
Exactly. That's why we're hanging out here. Okay, last question. If you're a scratch and sniff sticker, and I scratched your shoulder, what would I smell, Joe?
Ooh, going to give away a little of my heritage here. There's many things that come to mind, but I'll say Guinness. How's that? That give a little hint to my heritage.
a, a great
Or a
pint
great,
of Guinness.
a nice scotch or a whiskey or something like that. I don't know. Boy, I had not thought about that. You got me on that one.
Awesome. Well, I thought you answered it really, really great. A lot of people will get stumped on that one, but you had it pretty quick. So really, really appreciate that. Hey, Joe, thanks so much for being a guest on Return on Life podcast. Really appreciate you and what you shared with us today. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Randy. It's been a true honor.